How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan. Got my death metal hat on and my Undergang shirt from the Metalhead box, ready to do this nice death metal review for you today. And it's going to be on the band Desolation and their first album called Decapitated. Now, once again, these guys are kind of like an old school sounding death metal band from Sweden. Really good stuff. Eddie Wickland was, generous enough to send me that big box. Sent me a copy of their Decapitated album on vinyl. Really good stuff. Highly recommend you check it out. I had a chance to go over it a few times so I can give you my thoughts on it. The other members of the band are Matthias Lidlja on vocals and bass, Eddie Wickland, my boy, on drums, Kai Puskala on guitar, and Peter Naesland on guitars as well. Now let's tackle the vocals. The vocals were kind of mid to high in the mix, basically the forefront of what you're hearing, performed well and consistently. The style is this raspy, retched kind of yell with some slight growls here and there. Had this melodic kind of old school death metal feel, kind of like this old school melodic death metal equivalent to Randy Blythe, the vocalist from Lamb of God. Very interesting take for something in the death metal genre. For the guitar, they are mid-level in the mix, low, warm tone with maybe some slight reverb I think I was picking up there. Lots of tremolo style riffs, some melodic riffs at times, and the doomy riff. Basically, if you're not into tremolos, you're probably not going to want to listen to this album. But it was really good. It had this kind of old school death metal feel to it. Very dark, very foreboding. Some of it here and there is a little bit repetitive sounding, but when you get into a lot of tremolos and the kind of mid-paced tremolo style that they're doing, it can kind of sound like that anyways. But if that's what you like, there's a very plentiful amount of it, and you're gonna be good to go. Now for the bass, it was just under the guitars in the mix, and it was fairly noticeable, especially if you're using some decent stereo headphones. Low, foreboding, distorted tone, huge overall bassy tone for the whole album. It kind of also boosted the general heaviness of it too. Reminiscent kind of Terry Butler of Obituary and 6 Feet Under. Very enjoyable bass playing for sure. As for my boy Eddie in the drum department, his drums were about mid-level in the mix to slightly above the guitars at times. Performed well and consistent as well. Great timing as usual. They also had this kind of live feel to them. Good general drum mix. I love how everything sounded. Nice snare sound, solid kicks. He also has some tight fills and transitions. The double kicks for when the fast parts were, being utilized, he did it really well. Good cymbal work as well. Complements the tracks, and there's no showboating. It's sort of like how he does his drums in Vanda. He does what needs to be done. He complements the song and the tracks, and doesn't just go off and go crazy. He definitely just adds what needs to be added for the drums. My favorite tracks for this was The Day of the Rope, which is track number 4. Very memorable, has some pretty grimy riffs in there. And then another favorite track was number 5, being The Asylum. Had a really cool chorus and some pretty neat riffs in there. And the other really good track that stood out to me was number 8, which was The Incubus. Very heavy, very groovy at times, and like halfway through the song there's this like scream that the vocalist lets out. Is really cool. Definitely added to the track. My overall thoughts to this is Desolation's Decapitated reeks of that kind of Days of Old feel in metal. I could see this easily playing alongside bands and the likes of Autopsy, Dismember, Obituary, 6 Feet Under, Grave, you know, early Entombed or Nihilist as they used to be called, you know, and Deicide or Embalmer, just anything like that. I could see them like standing the grounds with and just kind of being right next to them on the shelf in a shop. Very dark, foreboding excavation of evil and heaviness is what this album packs. This album blasts and churns from start to finish, and it just only leaves like horror movie clips and the odd doomy riff to kind of give you a chance to breathe. This is the musical equivalent to a tomb filled full of deadly booby traps ready to kill you at any moment, that's for sure. And I would also give this probably a strong 8 out of 10. The only improvements or weaknesses that I could see with this would be maybe add some deep gutturals to the vocals, or some indecipherable like throaty noises here and there besides those Lamb of God style screams. Maybe include some more diversity between the tremolo riffs, because I really did enjoy the doomy stuff and like the groove orientated riffs that they're thrown in there. Definitely want to hear more of that from the next album when it comes out, and maybe some more spots where the bass can shine on its own, maybe some bass solos or something, you know, spread out throughout the album, and maybe some more horror film samples, because I always really do enjoy that stuff. I know Mortician does a lot of that kind of, you know, horror movie samples, and I think Desolation could benefit from more of that kind of stuff. And once again, these are just my kind of humble suggestions. If the band wants to take them into consideration and wants to add them to their writing process and spice it up in that manner, feel free, be my guest. Otherwise, just keep up the good work in general. Great stuff, guys. And once again, I'm Jesse Morgan, and I would buy this album. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Slammerella out.